Hello, and welcome to another episode of This is Rico Trying to Heal My Inner Child. I am Rico, and once again, I'd like to remind everyone that I am not a doctor, I'm not a therapist, and I am not a medical professional in any way. Just a regular person trying to navigate through life and trying to navigate what's going on here. It's come a long way, but it's still a mess. So, I have a better understanding of things, but I also recognize that there are lots of things that I still don't quite understand. And that's why I continue to try. I continue to make these videos so I can work through and process some of my feelings in the past, some of my emotions, some of my reactions, and try to understand why I react certain ways that I do. So in the last video, I was talking about moving out, and I had lived in two different places for short periods of time. And after those horrible experiences, I found my apartment. For the first time in my life, I felt like I had something that was my own. For the first time, as weird as that sounds, for the first time I was feeling like I was an independent person, like I didn't have to depend on anyone else. I didn't have to feel like I was a burden in someone else's space, or just like I was living somewhere where I didn't belong. And I felt like that quite a bit throughout my entire life. Never really felt I never felt settled. I never felt like I grew roots anywhere. I almost had like a nomad kind of life where I was just moving here, moving there. Nothing ever felt permanent. Nothing ever felt like home. I've never really felt like I was home. Sometimes I get homesick for a place that I've never been. I just have never been there. And I still am not there. My place here now, this is my son's place, and I feel it's just another transition. It's just another, temporary place for me to be, because I don't know where I'm going to go, and I know I can't stay here forever. But, I wish I had a place of my own when I was young, but like I said before, I can't go back and change anything. So I try to live without regrets. There's just certain things that I wish I had done different, but I don't have regrets about it. If I have any regrets, it's just usually the big stuff that I kind of wish I had done different. But I try not to think about that so much. But I do recognize that there were things that I wished I had done different. So this new place was somewhat affordable. I was able to bring my dogs, and I failed to mention before that I wanted to leave the dogs at the house until I could find something a little more permanent. But she wouldn't allow it. She would not even consider it. She had threatened to take them to the Humane Society if I left them there, or she would always comment that she was going to take off their collars and just let them go outside. And half the time it was like she was joking, but it's not funny. That is not funny. Just, I'm going to take off their collars and let them go. No. Why would you do that? Why would you even say something like that? But I had to take them with me. I had to take them with me when I stayed with the old acquaintances. I had to take them with me when I stayed at in the room that I rented. And so now I got to take them with me to my apartment. And I will say, having them around kind of helped my morale. Like I was at the edge so many times, and the only thing that brought me back from that edge was realizing that these two little furry boys were depending on me. And so I was able to get all of my stuff, most of my stuff from the house. I got all of my stuff out of that room, and I moved into my apartment, and it was finally my own place. But I'm going to take a real quick break, and I'll be back with a little more of This is Rico Trying to Heal My Inner Child. Welcome back to This is Rico Trying to Heal My Inner Child. I'm on the topic of my first apartment. Now, I shouldn't say my first apartment. I should say my first apartment where I lived alone for the first time in my life. Um, I slowly began to move my stuff from the house to the apartment. And I did end up tossing a lot of things. I mean, I had 17 years in that house, 17 years of collecting things, not to mention all the things I'd collected even before we lived there. I'm a collector. I like my things. I like my stuff. And I'm not a hoarder. I don't hoard things. I just collect things that really interest me. And sometimes I have to let go of some of those things. And I did that. I packed some of the stuff up, put it out on the street. Some people took it away. The garbage people took the rest. And I just had to slimline my inventory. I just had too much stuff to bring to this little apartment. This little apartment was a one bedroom, and it was kind of spacey, but it wasn't huge. It wasn't small, but it wasn't huge. So I could only bring so much. But like I'd mentioned before, I just threw away so much stuff. And I made the space work. It felt good to be able to decorate the way I wanted it. I was never afforded that in the past. Um, I when I lived in the house, I had to keep all of my things in the closet, and everything had to be packed away. In fact, we had this little den right outside of the master bedroom where I would keep my drums set up, and she would always try to get me to why don't you tear them down and put them in the closet, because I wanted my drums to be set up all the time so I could play whenever I felt like it. I don't know if any of you are drummers, but sometimes if your drums aren't set up and you just want to play for a little bit, by the time you get them set up, you're tired and don't feel like playing anymore. And then you got to put them away. It's exhausting. I just wanted them to be set up and stay set up so I could play anytime I wanted to. And that was the idea. But even that was too much. And majority of my things were inside my closet. I had a really big closet at that house. It ran the entire length of the house. It was like this big hallway. I had put some shelves up on one side and decorated a little bit. I put a rope light in there so I could see, and it was okay. But I mean, it was crowded, and it was just things that I wish I could have had out on display and showed, but I wasn't allowed. She didn't like that. She didn't like clutter. She didn't like anything. She just liked what she liked, and that was all that was allowed. So decorating my place felt good. I put up shelves. I put up all the little trinkets and the little things that I loved to look at. I like decorating in a Halloween kind of style. I like skulls and skeletons and scary things. That's what I like. And it worked out quite well. The neighborhood was decent. The neighbors were quiet. Um, Behind the apartment building was nothing but trees. So I just had like this outdoor view. Uh, and the people kept to themselves. Nobody was nosy. Nobody was loud. Nobody was rude. It was decent and it was comfortable. Pay from my work was a little weak, and I struggled a bit, but I was still happy to just have my own space, have my own little place that I could call home, a little place that I could decorate the way I wanted, and I could be comfortable. I could watch what I wanted. I could listen to music, whatever I wanted, and do what I wanted. I could have visitors, whoever I felt like having over could come over, and I from time to time, I had friends come over. My boys would come over and visit. Uh, you know, there was a couple of different women that I was seeing throughout that time that would come over and stay with me, and not stay with me, but just come over and hang out, watch a movie. And it was wonderful. It was really nice, and it felt good to just have my own place. It was very comforting, and I felt very happy and content. And like I said, I struggled a little bit financially, but I know money isn't everything, but you need it to survive. But it wasn't my driving force, and I was able to just kind of get by. But I'm going to take a quick break. I'll be back with a little more of This is Rico trying to heal my inner child. Welcome back to This is Rico trying to heal my inner child. For this video, I'm on the topic of my apartment, moving into my own space for the first time in my life, and it was quite liberating. I felt good being there. Somehow, and I don't know how, looking back, but somehow I made ends meet. My dogs were comfortable. We were happy. They had, they were always at home, and they were always happy to be there. And I was on the lowest level, and I was happy with that because, I just felt like I could keep an eye on things better. Being up high, I don't know. It's a different feeling, but just being on the lowest level, I felt very comfortable with that. And one perk was that the public laundry, was right outside my door. Like, I opened my door and looked to the left, and there it was. So that was easy. The grocery store was walking distance. It was if you walked through this little tiny pathway through the trees, you could get to the grocery store. If you needed just a few things that you could carry, that was quite nice. I liked taking little hikes to just go to the store and grab things. And there were plenty of places to hang out. They had picnic tables. They had a grill out front. There was plenty of grassy areas. They provided bags to clean up after your dogs, so I could just take them out front. They could do their business. I could grab some bags and clean it up and throw it away, and everything was nice and easy. Big dumpster out in front, so I could just throw away my trash out there. And like I mentioned, I did struggle a little bit financially, but I finally felt a little sense of peace and contentment. Finally felt like life isn't all that bad. Having my own space and having my own something to call my own. I never really felt like I had anything that was my own. I had to share everything. And I'm not saying anything against that. Owning a house with your spouse is, it's a good thing, but I never felt like I owned part of that house or any of that house. I felt like I was living in her house for some reason. She was just very controlling and controlled the decor, controlled what happened. She didn't like for me to have people over, so I couldn't really have visitors or anyone come and hang out. And it was frustrating, and it was a little intimidating, to be honest. And I didn't know what to do. But having my own place, I could have visitors, and I could have people over, and I could do what I wanted to. It was so much better on me emotionally. I was able to relax. I could just be happy and be in my own place. And the space evolved over the next couple of years. I would change it here, change it there, rearrange. Every time I changed it a little bit, it got better, and I got better, and I got better, and I just loved it. I loved that little place. I wish I could have stayed there, but the rent increases, the first couple of years, they were very minimal. It would only go up maybe $10, $15. You would have your rent for this year, and then after you would sign a new lease, it would only go up a little bit. The last couple of years I lived there, the rent would go up $75. Like 2 years in a row, it went up $75 each time. And it got to be unaffordable for me. I couldn't handle it anymore. I was becoming late with paying my rent. I was late with paying my bills because of it. And it was becoming too much. And, but before all of that happened, I was still pretty happy, and things were pretty decent. I'm going to take a quick break, and I'll be back with the conclusion of this video of This is Rico Trying to Heal My Inner Child. Welcome back to This is Rico Trying to Heal My Inner Child. I was just talking about my apartment, my first apartment alone in my life. I believe I was 46 at the time, and this was the first time I had my own space, my own place, my own something to call my own, where I could do what I wanted. I could decorate how I wanted. I could live how I wanted. Like I mentioned before, I love to decorate like Halloween. When I moved out of there, the place looked like a Halloween museum. And that's what I love. That's where I feel the most comfortable is the Halloween, the skulls, the skeletons, the scary stuff, the spooky stuff, the dark colors. I loved that. That was what moved me. I just honestly, Halloween is my favorite time of the year. And I consider myself a king of Halloween. I can really do a pretty good Halloween, and that's when I feel the most comfortable. I also managed to bring my drums and have them set up in this apartment. Now, there were rules against making a lot of noise, but I could get away with it a little bit because if I had a day off during the week, I could always tell when everybody was gone from the building because all the cars in the parking lot would be gone. Everybody would go to work. So on those days, I would play and I would practice for a bit. And I didn't wail on them. I didn't, play real hard. I would just play for as long as I could, and then kept it at a minimum. I tried to not play so loud because, of course, it's an apartment and I didn't want anyone to complain. I didn't want to ruffle any feathers. I didn't want to shake the boat, rock the boat. And it all worked out. It worked out very well. I could practice whenever I could. And, I could jam for a little bit. And that was a good feeling. I could, play my drums. I could listen to my music, and I could do what I wanted. And it was all mine, all mine. And for the longest time, I never really felt like anything was really, really mine, except for maybe my possessions, my little things, my collectibles, my things that I collected throughout my life. Those were mine, but I had to hide all this stuff. And now I had a place to display it. I had a place to put it out for decorations, and I could look at it instead of having to go into a closet to dig through and kind of look at my things. And working at the coffee shop made it easy to meet people, made it easy to make new friends, made it easy to, interact with people. And in doing that, and in both coffee shops, I had managed to meet new people. So there were new people entering my life, new friends, new love interests, new people that just I could interact and connect with a little bit, people I could relate to. And I did that. I made new friends, made new acquaintances, met new people, and I had a fun time with that. I really did. I met some really cool people. There's only a handful that I'm still friends with now, but I do appreciate them being in my life. I appreciate them being around. We don't talk every day. We're not like the closest of friends, but we're still friends. And that's a good feeling to know that there are people that consider you as a friend as well. And so at that point, things were good. Things were different. Were not as difficult. I think the only difficulty I had was, like I said, financially. I wasn't making a lot of money, but I was making enough to just get by and pay my bills and pay my rent. Just enough. I was almost kind of scraping by, but when you make it work, you make it work. And I made it work for as long as I possibly could. So I'm going to conclude this video. I will get back to another video talking about this apartment and as things transitioned. And we'll just keep moving and keep going. And I once again want to thank you all for being here. I want to thank you for existing. I want to thank you for your support. I want to thank you for watching. I want to thank you for commenting. I want to thank you for everything. From the heart of my bottom, I truly appreciate all of you. And I just want to say that I love you all and I appreciate you and your love and support. And I couldn't do this without you. I just want us all to support each other, connect, relate, help each other out. There's enough negativity in the world. There's enough of people tearing each other down, and we should be lifting each other up. And that's all I want. And that's all I look for, is some connection and for some support. Not only for me, but I offer it as well. I would never go against somebody just because. If we don't see eye to eye, then we don't have to interact at all. That's just the way it is and the way I think it should be. But with that, once again, I want to thank you all for your support. Please like, share, subscribe. And let's all help each other out, and let's make this place a little bit better if we can, while we can. Once again, I am Rico, and I'd like to thank you again for watching, and I'll be back very soon with some more episodes of This is Rico Trying to Heal My Inner Child. Thanks.